Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Sabrina Daly.
And I am Isani Cayetano. Good morning.
And good morning, Isani. How are you doing on this bright and early Monday morning?
I'm doing good.
Yeah? Rested?
Sorta.
No,
but I'm
we
good
have
to go.
Yes. We were just talking this morning. We have quite a busy week this week.
Yes.
So it was important that we get our rest or we get our recharge. However that looks for each individual. I'm glad that we're here this morning and we're ready to take on the week.
It's going to be quite a busy week. So,
yes.
We've been providing coverage of the upcoming municipal elections since the end of January or somewhere thereabout. And we're finally at the cusp, right? Everything climaxes on Wednesday. Yeah. But in terms of all the preparations from our end, as reporters, as hosts, and so on, it's been quite an effort.
Yes.
And then later on down the road, we'll have house meeting and all of these other stuff. But I'll leave that there because we have that discussion coming up later on in the conversation.
Well, I guess we can touch on some topics that are buzzing. And I think one of the bigger ones that has been buzzing over the weekend is the celebration of Lord Rhaburn's birthday.
Yes, my friend.
A legend.
Gerald Rhaburn. So, I mean, there's a lot we can talk about this man.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of, and then we'll start with the music thing first, right? Because that's my forte. But growing up as a child in Belize City, listening to radio, right? And listening to the Belizean artists who had made a name for themselves at that point. Now, I'm just a boy, and there he is, that's my good friend there. Listening to music on the radio, right? Soca, Brockdown, Calypso. It's a combination of Belizean music and Caribbean music, but you have all of these names. And in all honesty, I never thought that at some point in my life that I would have met Lord Rhaburn and we would have become friends, right? And I'm saying all of this because there is a thing, Sam, where you have to be able to appreciate people and give them their roses while they're still alive.
Absolutely.
And so I make the best of him in terms of, you know, seeing him and hanging out and talking and picking his brain and talking about music and stuff like that. And he's celebrated. I think by and large, Belizeans, you know, give him his flowers. When you think of that area by the Memorial Park, which is the Lord Rhaburn Plaza, you know, and when you think about his contribution to Belizean music and Belizean culture on a whole, I mean, at 88 years old, the man has done his thing.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. And I can imagine for you, as you mentioned, Isani, being a young boy listening to these artists and later in your years interacting with them, not only from you being a journalist in this day and age, but also you worked in radio too in the past too. So there's that kind of double whammy.
Yes. But no, I was a fan first. Right?
Yeah.
I was a fan first.
What are the questions that you ask Lord Rhaburn about music?
Well, okay, that's a very good question. So I've sat with him on numerous occasions in a professional capacity and in a personal capacity, right? And so a lot of the conversations that we have are not necessarily in the professional space.
Right.
But my thing to him has always been, what was the inspiration? Like, how do you come up with certain, you know, concepts for songs, or what was the initial motivation? And he says, you know what? I grew up hard. And when I realized I have a certain talent, that was my way of getting out, so to speak. Right? And so these stories resonate because a lot of the people who end up making a huge difference or having a significant impact on society are persons who come from a certain hardship or certain challenges they would have faced in their life.
Right.
And these are the stories that to me really count, right? Nothing against persons who had the silver spoon, but the ones who had it tough are the ones who figured a way how to make a diamond out of a hard coal.
Yeah.
You know, and his story is one of that. So it resonates with me. And the fact that he understood early on that he had a particular skill and he took full advantage of it and was able to say, you know what, let me establish my career or my legacy based on my God-given talent.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the story.
I think about, I think it was last year or probably the year before, my one opportunity that I got, and the only one since then, to meet Lord Rhaburn and do an interview with him. It had to do with a bright side that we were doing on a younger artist that has been venturing into the genre of broke-down music, and that's Kokonobwai. Everyone, I believe, has an idea who that individual or that musician is. And I spoke to Lord Rhaburn as it relates to his views of the up-and-coming generation embracing broke-down music, and one, how limiting it is in Belize, or how limited it is in Belize. You don't see much young people embracing that genre of music. And two, what was his thoughts on it, you know, on younger people taking on this genre? So it was really interesting to hear his take on it. Of course, the difference between broke-down music then and now and how it has evolved. And I think it's so important that we capture these little moments with him because, as you mentioned, Isani, he's 88.
Yeah.
And we have to give him his flowers now. We have to capture these moments because you don't know how much longer we'll have the legend himself here with us. So I think it's important for us to document and pay homage to the works that he has been doing and, of course, that he had done.
I think part of the reason why I'm enamored of Lord Rhaburn is the fact that when it comes to music, I love lyrics. I love the creativity of how, you know, the lyrics are written and stuff like that. And so with him, I've always like, so there is a thing called a double entendre, right? Where you're using language to mean different things. So on the face of it, it seems innocent, but behind it is suggestive, right?
Yeah.
And so when that is used in lyrics, particularly in soca music or calypso music, I'm all here for it. And so when I listen to him and his music, a lot of it is based on double entendre. So it's how you interpret it to be.
I think about, you know, being a kid and listening to the radio as a kid and we're singing all these songs at the top of our lungs, not knowing the other meaning. We know the literal meaning, but we don't know the figurative.
The literal meaning is innocent, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the Julie Mango, for instance.
I was thinking of exactly that just
but behind it is something else, right?
And it's so crazy because, you know, when you think of, as you get older, and you're obviously able to understand a bit more of the double side of it, the other meaning, you kind of give your parents a side eye. That was at least my interaction. But I have to say, I completely agree with you, Isani, that it's important that we give flowers to our musical legends or individuals in general that have contributed to the development of Belize in some way or shape. We can thank Lord Rhaburn for his contributions in music And I have to say, I think we are doing that. Just as you mentioned, I think we are giving him his respects. We're giving him credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
And we're giving him his flowers. And I'm only hoping that we're able to see more young people really follow in his footsteps and continue his legacy as it relates to broke down music.
Or calypso music.
Or calypso
Belizean music.
Belizean music in general.
I'll end by saying this. This is not the ordinary birthday shout out.
Yeah.
Right? That we reserve for the end of the show. Simply because of who he is, we figured, you know what, let's do that as a What's Buzzing, because we have an 88-year-old Belizean iconoclast who is still with us, and he's still very much relevant in terms of his contributions.
Absolutely. All right, well, it's a Monday, and after giving our happy birthday to Lord Rhaburn, we're going to now jump into our Eye on the News. And of course, we have Isani here with us to provide that.
So I figured, Sabrina, our Eye on the News conversation this morning has to be centered on the upcoming municipal elections, right? Where everything in terms of the preparations from the mass parties and, of course, the independents and the third parties as well will come to a head on Wednesday, March 6th. And as I alluded to earlier, we've been on the campaign trail with these candidates from the very beginning. And I said this last week, and I stand firmly behind it. I mean, our coverage so far in terms of being able to introduce these candidates to the masses of Belizean voters, for them to understand who the persons are who are running for public office, our coverage has been unrivaled. Right? Beyond that, however, is the fact that while we're on the campaign trail with these individuals, we're able to get a feel from the residents in the respective municipalities as to what their concerns are. And some of these concerns are across the board, or universal in a manner of speaking. But at the same time, there are the issues that affect the everyman. Right? It's not like Belizeans are asking for the world. We're asking for basic stuff that our elected officials should look after in our best interest. And so I think that has been an experience, not only for ourselves as the reporters on the ground, but certainly for those who are campaigning actively, particularly the candidates, right? Yesterday, I was with the People's Democratic Movement because our final Meet the Candidates series is today and tomorrow, right? And so yesterday I was with the PDM, and they were doing their thing in the Lake Independence area, Independent Road area as well. But talking to these candidates and seeing their interaction with residents on the ground, you know, and we often say, you know what, our history shows that there's no real place for third parties in our political arena. But then the question becomes, okay, so when are we as Belizeans ready to look away from what the established order says we are to look at?
Especially when we're constantly saying that we need change.
Yes, yes. And it's on that premise that I can respect anybody else who decides that they want to enter the fray, not being red or blue, but saying, you know what, I am here for some kind of meaningful change.
Right.
But perhaps it's ironic or sad in a sense that we're so used to what the tradition upholds that says, okay, it's either this or that. But yet, when we say we want change, we only look at this or that. We don't look at any other option that exists out there. But I digress. I'm simply saying, look, I was out yesterday and I was with this particular movement, they have their principles, their values, their ethos, and that is what they're using to campaign on. And I think by and large, the reception from Belizeans, the ones that I saw, you know, they're saying, look, man, maybe it's time we do entertain an idea that is not, you know, establishment, so to speak.
I wanna stick a pin there really quickly, Isani, to make 2 points.
Sure.
One is the clarification, just for persons who may not be aware. While we have been providing extensive coverage of meeting our mayoral candidates here on the morning show, we've also been doing our very own part on the news side.
Yes.
So for News 5 Live every Wednesday and Friday, we've been providing extensive coverage in the different municipalities where viewers would get to meet the councillor candidates, mayoral candidates, all of them. And aside from that, also hear from the people on the ground of what their concerns are. So what Isani was referring to was the news side.
Yes.
So that's my first point. The second is, I have to agree with you, and I really want to echo what you were saying about third parties, simply because if you think about it, these third parties, they're not established they're not established bodies. So you'd have to assume that they're investing from their pockets.
Yeah.
And I think that really speaks to the level of commitment that these individuals have to trying to make change. And that I respect. Oftentimes, you know, I think that regardless of us recognizing that we are seemingly culturally aligned to these bigger parties, I think we can't not say that there aren't good politicians that join these bigger parties, you know. But I think it's also fair to say that one would join these bigger parties because of the resources that is available. You're able to give to the people what you hope to give to them. But I have a lot of respect for persons who take that leap of faith and they invest in third parties from their pockets and try to take that leap into politics.
I think at a certain point, we should be able to say, okay, if we're looking at Parliament and how Parliament is composed, instead of having red on one side and blue on the other side, whoever is in power, to be able to have other elected officials. It's the same way if you look at City Hall or Town Hall, right? While in some cases you do have mixed councils, why not have it mixed with other candidates other than just the established red and blue?
It would be an interesting sight for House meetings, I can tell you that. It would be quite an interesting listen.
But yeah, it's just the way I'm looking at it. But going back to what we're discussing though, I mean, so Wednesday will be the culmination of all of this effort on either side. Right. And, you know, we're going to discuss a little later on in the show what our coverage will look like for Wednesday. But I'm simply saying that the energy on the ground is very much palpable at this point. There's no way or nowhere you would go and you don't feel as if the elections is in the air. You know, you look at Belize City, for instance, right? Yesterday you had motorists who were complaining because, I believe it was the Belize City Council, locked off certain streets and they're painting the 100-yard line from some of the polling stations, right? You look around and everywhere is festooned with the party colors, right? Blue and white, or red, blue and white, yellow, or whatever the case may be. So it's very much here. I'm just hoping that on election day, registered voters who go to the polls vote for the right reasons. And they're not simply just giving away or throwing away their votes. That they're doing so for meaningful change, whatever that means to them. You know, and I think that's my only message here in all of it, is that you do what is right by you in terms of casting that ballot.
I want to say something really quickly, and perhaps this is more of a personal statement, but I'm really excited about Wednesday because you would know, Isani, this is my first time covering an election. And this, of course, states how young I am in the business. But I'm really looking forward to it, the process that takes place from the media side. And of course, interacting with senior officials like Isani that have done hundreds of these types of coverage.
I'm an old man.
So I'm looking forward to it. And I want to encourage our viewers to stay tuned in this morning, because we'll also be speaking to some of our correspondents throughout the morning as well, as it relates to what you can expect information-wise from us when it comes to the election coverage on March 6th.
Okay, so the final conversation here is the fact that there is a House meeting scheduled for Friday.
Yeah,
so
that's going to be lightning.
Wednesday is election day, and Friday we go back to the House, right? Less than 2 days after whatever the outcome will be across all 9 municipalities. So I'm looking forward to the House meeting on Friday, because it promises to be electric.
That's what I was saying. It's going to be lightning. But yes, I too am looking forward to it. As we mentioned in the start of the show, Isani, this week is going to be quite an interesting one. It's going to be busy, that's for sure. But I think across the board, it's going to be interesting. Every day promises something unique.
Yes, yes. All right, so I'll conclude our Eye on the News with that. Of course, certainly, I can't say it enough. Details of these stories and more you will be able to catch at 6 p.m. in our live newscast. If you're unable to do so, you'll always catch our content on Facebook or on YouTube. That does it for this morning's Eye on the News.
All right, moving into what we can expect for the weather update. Of course, our weather is provided by the National Meteorological Service, and I have to say, we've been experiencing warmer weather. We are moving into the dry season, and we're hoping that it remains generally stable. So we will be getting an update from the Met Service now.
Good morning. Mainly fair and dry conditions prevail over the region and will continue for the next few days. The 24-hour forecast is for sunny skies with a few cloudy spells today and partly cloudy skies tonight. Little or no rain is expected. Winds over the open sea will be from the east to southeast at 10 to 20 knots, and the seas will be moderate. Maximum temperatures today will be around 87 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 92 inland, but only 77 degrees up in the mountains. The outlook for Tuesday and Tuesday night is for mainly fair, warm, and dry weather. There is a low tide at 9:09 this morning, and a high comes up at 3:48 this afternoon. Another low is at 12:23 tonight, and another high at 7:17 tomorrow morning. Sunrise this morning is at 6:08, and sunset this evening is at 6 o'clock. The moon will set at 12:13 this afternoon and rise again at 2:06 tomorrow morning. In the fire risk forecast, the risk for forest and brush fires for today is moderate. With that, we end this report from the Belize Weather Bureau.
All right, many thanks to the folks at the Med Service. It looks like it's going to be generally smooth, but we will be getting those updates daily. Moving into our show lineup this morning, Isani, as we've been mentioning, we do have quite an interesting and informative show lineup for our viewers this morning. But starting things off, I do want to say, as you've been mentioning, we have been giving extensive coverage of the different parts leading up to the municipal elections. Just last week, we even spoke to the chief elections officer from the Elections and Boundaries, talking about the process of the municipal elections. What are the do's and don'ts when you go to cast your vote? Well, this morning, we'll be speaking to the Commissioner of Police, Chester Williams, and we're going to be talking to him about the rules and the election laws. I think aside from that, it's important for us to also touch on citizen security on that day. We do know that a lot of moving parts will be taking place. So I know that of utmost importance is safety, and of course that everything runs smoothly.
It's always an interesting conversation to have where law enforcement is concerned on election day. Doesn't matter if it's village council, it's municipal or general elections. The Belize Police Department always has its work cut out in terms of ensuring citizen security, as you mentioned, right? So I'm looking forward to that conversation with the Commissioner, simply because you know, being out in the field as a reporter, you hear certain, you know, concerns being raised by residents, and so I'd love to quiz him on some of those concerns in our first segment.
It's going to be interesting. But in our second segment, as Isani teased earlier, we will be sitting down with some of the very correspondents that will be out on the field. Some of the faces you're going to find to be very familiar as well. It's our team from the newsroom. And they're going to be talking about, one, the municipalities that they will be stationed in, but also the key information that you should look for from them come elections day. And
of
finally,
course, yes, our third conversation this morning, well, it's the beginning of the Women's Month, right? And so not only do we pay our respect to the role of women in our society or in our homes and our families, but we're looking at what the activities are that will be held in commemoration of Women's Month.
Yeah, all right. Well, we have 3 great conversations coming up, but we got to take that first break. And when we come back, we'll be sitting down with ComPol Chester Williams. He'll be talking to us about the role of the Belize Police Department on Elections Day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This plan, I can't leave this plan. Smart Belize.
Hey there, smart thinkers. We're turbocharging your mobile experience with Smart's powered up postpaid plans. Imagine a world where your data speeds flows faster than ever. Well, guess what? We've cranked up the dial and unleashed the postpaid power of Smart's lightning fast LTE data on all our postpaid plans. That's right, no speed bumps, more data. It's like having a limitless highway of data speed at your fingertips. Whether you're a lone ranger with an individual plan or a squad rolling with a group plan, everyone gets to surf, stream, and share at enhanced full high-quality speed. Switch to Smart's powered-up postpaid plans today and ride the wave of postpaid power. Visit any Smart showroom or smart-bz.com for details and make your mobile experience smarter and faster. Smart, bringing people together.
I know I can't leave this plan. I can't leave this plan.
2,251,000 slices of watermelon are eaten by tourists each year in Belize, benefiting local farmers and processors directly. Tourism means business.
Hi, my name is Lincoln Fowers and I work at UMAL. 100% I will recommend Belize Bank mobile banking to everyone because it saves time, money and gas price because gas price is high right now. Belize Bank mobile banking just make life easier.
Forever Belize 2024. Vote PUP 11. Bernard Wagner, Femia, who always there with me. Here we come for tree, beat everybody, vote PUP. Bernard Wagner, Femia, who always there with me. Here we come for tree, beat everybody, vote PUP. We ready for election, vote PUP 11. Bernard Wagner with the plan to make better things happen. Beautifying Belize City, reaching out to each community, involving more youth programs, uplifting all Belizeans. Bernard Wagner, Femia, who always there with me. Here he come for tree, beat everybody, vote PUP. Bernard Wagner, Femia, who always there with me. Here he come for tree, beat everybody, vote PUP. PUP 11. With his safe and track, no time for turning back. Belize, physical infrastructure, symmetry, economic development, festival, smart city enhancement. So who we have vote for? Bernard Wagner. On election day, Bernard Wagner. Belize City Mayor, Bernard Wagner. Bernard Wagner, Femia, who always there with me. Here he come for treat with everybody. Vote PUP. Bernard Wagner, female who always there with we. He come for treat with everybody. Vote PUP. We ready for election. Vote PUP 11. Bernard Wagner with the plan to make better things happen. Beautifying Belize City. Reaching out to each community. Involving more youth programs. Uplifting all Belizeans. Bernard Wagner, the man for the job. Bernard Wagner, win again. Bernard Wagner, March 6. Vote PUP. Bernard Wagner, the man for the job. Bernard Wagner, win again. Bernard Wagner, March 6. Vote PUP. PUP 11.
The municipal elections 2024 are just around the corner, and Channel 5 has you covered. The results of this decisive event will determine the direction taken by 7 towns and 2 cities over the course of the next 3 years. Join us for nationwide election coverage with impartial and insightful commentary and up-to-date statistics. With correspondents in every municipality, get a first-hand look at the pulse of the nation as the elections unfold. And while they can have their say,
this is my projection. 9 municipalities, and it is not far-fetched.
We are going to go blue, blue, blue down the line.
the voters will have their way. Tune in to Channel 5 at 6 a.m. on Wednesday, March 6th, and stay with us until the winners are confirmed. Stay up to date with our pre-election coverage on News 5, Open Your Eyes, and on our social media pages. Meet the candidates, follow them on the campaign trail, and have your say on the elections through our social media polls, because your voice matters. Don't miss the excitement and drama of the Municipal Elections 2024. Tune in to Channel 5 and join us for unrivaled coverage that puts you in the heart of the action.
At Brothers Habet and Habet, we are proud to celebrate Women's Month. This year's theme is Inspire Inclusion, and we want to inspire the creativity of our women breaking barriers in the industry. That's why, for the entire month of March, we are offering all women a special 15% discount on all products store-wide. Whether you're a professional, a DIY enthusiast, or just looking to tackle home improvement projects, we have everything you need to get the job done and service that's second to none. So stop in, call, inbox, email, or WhatsApp us today. Happy Women's Month from all of us at Brothers Habet and Habet.
And welcome back. We have been joined on set by the Commissioner of Police, none other than Chester Williams, for our first conversation this morning, where we'll be talking about law enforcement and, of course, citizen security on March 6th. Good morning,
Good
ComPol
morning,
Williams.
ComPol.
Good morning, buenos dias, Benafi.
Yes,
Buenos
yes,
dias,
yes.
buenos
Guten
dias.
Morgen, and all of these other, expressions for good morning. How's it going?
Well, I must say, been pretty busy, but we've been able to manage, thanks to the support that we continue to get from the people of Belize, as well as the government itself, in trying to see what can be done to make the police department better. So all in all, I think that we're doing well. When we look at our weekend, I must say the weekend was a very disappointing one to some extent. These domestic or social style killings are really a plague. Of the murders we have had so far this year, 80% are either domestic or social setting. Where friends killing friends or family killing family. And where we have those types of crime, it's extremely difficult for the police to prevent. Let me say one time, because I know it is going to hit the media very shortly. We had an incident in Correspondents where a young American fella was accused of killing his wife. He was eventually intercepted by the police at a traffic accident scene in Corozal and taken into custody. This morning, the police went to clean a cell. He was in a cell block, alive and well, and the police left to retrieve the prisoner food and returned about 10 minutes later. And upon return, they found him hanging in the cell by his pants, with his pants. So he took off his long pants that he was wearing and hung himself. So he is now deceased. Very unfortunate situation. I know that some might want to say the police could have done more, but the police would normally do cell block checks like every half an hour. And if they had just cleaned the cell and 10 minutes return with food to feed the man, I will not be able to see where the police would have faltered in that situation. So it's an unfortunate situation, but again, we have to deal with that.
I think it's part of the standard operating procedures, if I could describe it as such, where when police officers take persons into custody, they are relieved of certain items that would be deemed dangerous to themselves, to their person, right?
Yeah.
So for instance, your belt, your shoelace,
Yes.
any object that you would be able to use to cause harm to yourself is you're relieved of.
Exactly.
But you wouldn't think of saying, okay, well, take off your shirt or take off your pants,
You know, so that would go to the extreme and would also be a violation of human rights. So we would not go to the extreme of telling a person you have to stay nude in the cell block.
Yeah.
We can't do that now.
Yeah.
And especially in a case like his, he was not displaying signs of suicide.
Yeah.
So
no
the
ideation
police,
of any sort.
we're not expecting that to happen. So,
So you have your work cut out for you, as you mentioned earlier, in terms of what transpired over the past 3 days. You have road traffic accidents, you have domestic issues, you have murders taking place.
Yeah, the traffic accidents, Isani, is
out of control.
Yeah, we tried. We're trying with DOT, and there's a lot that we're doing. If you travel the highways, you'll see a number of checkpoints and highway patrols. But these motorists, they just monitor where the checkpoints and the highway patrols are and just do what they need to do. And we're finding again that these motorcycles are really the issue. There was one yesterday in Ladyville.
Yeah.
Motorcycle. There was one down south. 3 persons on one motorcycle. It's just ridiculous. I don't know what else to do. We are trying as best as we can to do some educational campaign as it relates to the road safety. And even as much as we're doing that, we're still seeing that these motorcycle riders are not complying. You know, and that is the main issue. And
do you believe that perhaps there should be more stringent penalties for these infractions? Because I get it. I mean, there's only so much awareness campaigns that we'll be able to run, right?
Yeah,
but ultimately it falls on either the pedestrian, the cyclist, or the motorist. Anyone using those carriageways. Ultimately, that responsibility falls on you, how you're doing so and what laws you're abiding by.
Again, it is so true, Isani, and that is something we're currently contemplating. I myself, I was driving Friday, and a vehicle was coming in the opposite direction. So I moved to the right to allow the vehicle to overtake. And as I was moving to the right, I heard a beep, motorcycle right.
Oh my gosh.
If I had gone a little bit more, I would have knocked him clean off his back.
Yeah, that's something that I've observed.
It's just ridiculous, you know. Like they don't have no regards to the rules of the road. You do not overtake a vehicle on the right. You know, it's just so ridiculous, man. And we're trying as best as we can with Department of Transport, but they're just not getting it. So again, to implement more stringent penalties, I think would be one way to go. It might serve as a form of deterrent to them, and hopefully that might help.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we're expecting as well is an increase in police presence as it relates to checkpoints on election day as well, because there will be a lot of moving parts. Can you speak about that?
Yeah, in terms of the elections coming up, as you know by law, the chief elections officer is the one who has control of elections and how elections are to be managed. The police, on the other hand, our responsibility is to ensure that during the election process, that law and order is maintained. And so this time around, we're not having a general election, just municipal election. So the focus is going to be in the urban areas. And with that, we have put in place our operational orders. We have had meetings with the Chief Elections Officer who briefed the police senior command in terms of what she expects of the police on election day. We have two important locations when elections are held. One, we have the polling stations. At the polling stations, the presiding officer is the person who is in charge. And we have the counting stations. And at the counting station, the returning officer is in charge. So at the polling station, the police is going to take instructions from the presiding officer or the returning officer, and at the counting station from the returning officer. So again, there are certain basic laws that govern selection, like you cannot campaign within the 100 yards line. You cannot wear red or blue within that that area. But again, we have seen over the years with elections that we have not really enforced that color issue. And again, for the simple fact that all the political parties are doing it, and to enforce it is going to create more work and more problem for us. So we have just left that to happen. But we'll do as much as we can to prevent the candidates or their agents from coming into those 100 yards line to campaign or whatever, try to reach out to voters to tell them what to vote for them. To that extent, we would normally go. Now, when it comes to the whole issue of the highways or the traffic regulations, we, of course, like in the different municipalities, we're going to ensure that there is a free flow of traffic within the area where the elections, the polling stations are going to be.
Right.
Again, we don't want to have a situation where the traffic is clogged. Now, there may be certain areas where they might block off the streets due to the fact that the area might be too congested. So there might be a need to block off certain areas. But in those areas where we have polling stations along any major road, then we will ensure that we coordinate traffic properly to be able to allow traffic to flow while the votings are taking place. And likewise, on the highways, we're going to still maintain the highway patrols and checkpoints. We know that there are going to be a number of persons who may reside outside of the urban areas who may want to come into the city to vote. And so they might be on the highway racing, try to meet time to vote or try to vote and go back. So again, to ensure that we have proper traffic control on the highways will also be important on that day.
I think especially since it's not an official holiday, you know, individuals are trying to make their vote and rush back to work in time.
The employer will give you time to go and vote and you have to come back. So there's going to be that rush. So we need to ensure that we have proper control for the traffic as well.
What are your thoughts on what's been taking place in terms of vandalism? Because perhaps in certain areas, the fact that, you know, you have bad actors who would spray paint or tear down signs or whatever, it creates a situation where on elections day, perhaps some of these very same people are going to meet each other and it could create a situation.
And you know that when on election day, no political sign is allowed within the 100 yards line as well. So most of those signs that are up, that are within the vicinity of those polling stations will have to be taken down Tuesday night. So that come Wednesday morning, they're not there. But to answer your question, Isani, it's very, very ridiculous to see the things that politicians do. I've always said, you know, sign, don't vote. I remember clearly in 2007, I think, or 2008, when a young man tried to cut me with a power saw, with a chainsaw, because they want to take down a sign. Again, why people go to the extent that they would normally go with these sign issues. In Cayo, it is so ridiculous, you know, and I just can't wait for Wednesday to come so that this madness can be over. Because every day my phone is ringing off the hooks because people are complaining that their sign is being taken down, their sign is damaged. There's nothing I can do. I cannot pay attention to signs. I have bigger things to deal with, you know, but I wish that...
Regrettably, they do though, because for some reason, they figure that the signage is what's going to prompt people to vote a certain kind of way. Right?
I don't, honestly, maybe, I don't know, but for me, a sign does not sway me in either direction. And I think that for the most part, over a month ago, Belizeans don't know who they will vote for. Right? So I don't see the need for us to be damaging each other's sign. I think that political parties should learn to work together and speak to their supporters, not to respect the signs of the other opposing party.
I think one of the questions that I would like to ask you, seeing as though you're here with us, is the concern that you do have rival gangs who operate within certain areas, and then you have polling stations in the mix of it all. And it's a concern that has been raised by former era Representative Boots Martinez for Port Loyola. And perhaps it's a very live concern in terms of having these young men within proximity of each other, knowing that they're from rival groups.
The truth is, Isani, well, I'm not going to dismiss the concern of Mr. Martinez. It can be a legitimate one. But the truth be told, all over Belize City, almost every polling station we have, there are rivaling gangs voting at those polling stations. And in some instances, they vote at the same polling station. In this one particular instance that Mr. Martinez is highlighting, they're going to be voting at two separate polling stations. The only difference is that these polling stations are a bit close in proximity.
Next door to each other.
Next door to each other. And the police, we have a responsibility of ensuring that law and order is maintained on election day. And we do understand the dynamics of that particular area. So certainly there's going to be more police presence on Southside Belize City per se, not just that particular area, but Southside Belize City is a concern for us, because there is where we have most of the polling stations where we see rivaling gangs going to vote at the same polling station. Look, for example, in the St. Martin's area, the polling station there, you have the BLC, you have the PIV going to vote at that polling station, you know? And then sometimes you also have the 123rd who goes to the same polling station. So it is nothing new per se. And so again, we're going to be prepared to make sure that we do what needs to be done to be able to prevent any gang feud or gang rivalry at those polling stations.
With the death of Troy Hyde, ComPol, do you suspect that there will be any form of rivalry? Any form of activities taking place on election day?
We don't. Let me not say we don't foresee that, because we do anticipate that there is going to be some form of retaliation for Troy Hyde's death. The question is when. But again, we are going to do what we can to ensure that on election day, that things run as smoothly as it possibly can. Belize have had a history of having calm and peaceful elections, and we want to make sure that this year is going to be no different.
I wanna use that opportunity that you mentioned right there to segue really quickly to regional news that we reported on last week, and that has to do with the death of two mayoral candidates in Mexico. And this was just on the heels of them beginning their official campaign last week, Friday. Now, it's said that it had to do with gang members in Mexico, but I wanted to know, have you heard of that? And if so, what were your thoughts on it?
Well, we look at our neighboring country, Mexico, and Mexico has a serious issue with the cartels. And the truth is that cartels do run certain parts of Mexico. And when they see something happening that they don't like or they think is going to be used against them or come at them, they try to eliminate it. There was a certain part of Mexico where the chief of police, nobody wants to be the chief. Every chief who is appointed is killed. Within weeks or months of his or her appointment, they are killed. So it is a thing in Mexico. So that is not new per se. We can also look at what happened in Ecuador, right? When the president came out and said that they're going to go hard at the cartels and then we begin to see a whole pile of civil unrest taking place. Because the cartels are very determined when they want to take control. And if the government is not strong enough to make sure that they create that barrier to prevent them from taking control, then they're going to take control.
But fortunately, for us here in Belize, we're not there yet.
No.
And
I hope we won't get there.
We're hoping that we don't get to that point. And so everything rests not only with us as citizens, but also with the police department or the security apparatus, if you're looking at it broadly, that we don't get to that point where civil unrest is the order of the day.
Yeah.
Well, I think what the public would want to know at this time, ComPol, is the key areas that we can expect police presence as it relates to the municipal elections. We do know that we're expecting police presence here in Belize City, but across the country, that will also be the case as well. Do you believe that you have enough manpower to present police officers all across the country?
There's never enough manpower. Well, go ahead.
And that's one of the things that sometimes Belizeans don't appreciate.
Yeah.
On election day, police have to work overtime. Overtime without pay. Officers will have to come and work the polling stations. And when polling stations close, they have to move to work the counting stations.
Yeah.
And in some cases, the counting stations remain until 12 or sometime the next day.
Yeah. Yep.
San Ignacio, Belize City, right? Those are
Notorious
the two
for going
yes, takes
way
so
over
long.
time, yeah.
And in San Ignacio, when they don't count, they still want
Count
another
again.
recount,
Count again,
right?
make sure.
So sometimes it stays till the next day morning at
Yeah.
6. So the same police officers will have to make sure that they come to work Wednesday morning prepared for a 24-hour shift.
But it's a thankless job for you guys
Yes,
because
yeah.
while you're there to ensure that we are safe as voters, we take it for granted the work that you're actually doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And that I think that's the thing about policing and law enforcement on a whole, is because you're there in the night to make sure that the day is perfectly fine for us the following morning. But at the same time, we don't give it much thought that you're going above and beyond.
The officers who are going to work election will fall in at 4 a.m. Wednesday morning.
Wow.
Right? So if they live in Corozal or Orange Walk, they have to be up from like around 1, 2 to make it here. And they will have to work right around and perhaps the next day morning 6. Right? So it's rough. But again, the type of people that we are, we do it without complaining. The officers still look forward to coming to work, make sure that they're out there and do what needs to be done to make the people safe. And that's what makes police officers very
Is there any, like, forgive my description of it, perhaps like a preparatory meeting that you guys have?
Yes, we have briefings across the country. The commanders are tasked to do briefing with their personnel. Mr. Greenwich, who would normally manage operations, would normally speak with commanders and go down into different areas and make sure that everything is okay. Then we prepare a national election operational orders. That comes to me. I go straight, vet it, make sure everything is in place, and then I approve that, and then the briefing is done based on that. So yes, we do that. We also would have meetings with the different political parties to make sure that on election day we're on the same page, that we don't have any issue between the parties arguing about who must be where and these sort of things. Because I know they always try to fight for strategic position around the polling station. So we try as best as we can to work with them to alleviate those issues come election day. And again, to answer your question, Sabrina, not Sabrina, Miss April, we also look at the not just to make sure we have police presence within the municipalities, but also in the rural areas, because we know that issues from the rural area can spew right into the urban areas on election day. So we have to do as best as we can, likewise, to not neglect the rural areas. And again, if we look at our crime trend this year, over 85% of our murders so far are in the rural areas. So we cannot take our concentration off the rural areas. So we're going to police those as well.
I'm glad that you've mentioned that. Perhaps we could digress just for a tidbit to address that very issue. When you look at crime and violence as of January 1st, 2024, the trend is that it would seem as if though murders have minimized, in a sense, in Belize City primarily, but you have all of these out-district killings where every week, every so often, something in Corozal, something in the rural areas of Belize District, so on and so forth. How are you guys responding to this? Because it would seem as though it's a phenomenon, if I could describe it as such. We're done used to crime and violence being a Belize City thing, so to speak, but now it's moving away from Belize City. How are you guys able to respond?
We are doing what we can to respond through different operational strategies. But again, like I said earlier, most of these killings are in a domestic setting or social setting. You and your friend drinking, or just start arguing, you kill a friend. Husband and wife at home, something happened, one kill the next one. How can the police prevent those?
Yeah.
We can't tell people, I cannot tell you don't go to your friend's house and drink. We can't tell a husband and wife in your home, you can't live together or whatever. And so it is extremely difficult. The type of murders that we're having now, those that are preventable, we're doing a very good job at preventing them. Like you rightly said, in Belize City, we have seen a drastic decline in the amount of murders so far this year. But rural Belize is killing us. Ladyville area, it's terrible. But what I'm doing now is that we are working on implementing a road policing unit. And that unit will be responsible to go into the rural areas, particularly those big villages, like we have Ladyville, we have Buena Vista, or Bella Vista in PG.
South,
Another hot area where alcohol is a serious issue. And we want them to be able to go in and do operations, search houses, go after these liquor establishments and these sort of things. So hopefully that is going to help. But at the end of the day, these people who are doing these killings are persons who regard as reasonable people.
Yeah.
They're not the gang people, you know? And so we ask people to always try to allow cooler heads to prevail. Don't get too hype and too hot over an issue that you could eventually resolve through just speaking with each other. And that's one of the issues we're having.
With this observation being made, ComPol, about the crimes taking place, the murders taking place, being associated with domestic matters and familial matters, is it something that we will expect we will see the Belize Police Department amping up their partnership with these social organizations?
Yes, of course. Through LIU, we have all those organizations that are part of what we do. The only thing is that so far we have been focusing on Belize City. So 2023 was a focus on Belize City, and we have said that we were going to see how we can expand what is being done across the country. So yes, we're going to be looking to see what we can do to take what is being done in Belize City outside of Belize City to be able to help to alleviate some of the issues that we're having outside of Belize City.
I want to take the conversation out in the region again, ComPol, simply because I saw in the news last night a report from the Associated Press speaking about the developments in Haiti as it relates to the gang situation and them invading their prison.
The prison being...
Yes. And the reason I bring this up is because I know that we have hopefully some of our officers here that were interested in going out and supporting Haiti. What were your thoughts on that? And do you think that the development there in Haiti may shift the minds of our officers that were interested in leaving?
Well, I listened to the news as well in respect to Haiti. And I think they said that the Prime Minister is currently in Kenya to try and secure the support of Kenya to be the lead in the external security forces that are going to be deployed to Haiti. So I believe that once the Prime Minister is able to secure the support from Kenya, then we're going to look within the CARICOM region to see what can be done to deploy security forces to Haiti. Now, from a Belize standpoint, it is within the prerogative of the Prime Minister to decide if or not police will be going to Haiti. I have been asked the question as to what are my thoughts of police officers going to Haiti. And my response is that we are already short of police in Belize. So to send police in Haiti is going to add to our shortness in Belize. But at the end of the day, we have to understand what Haiti is going through. And we must also understand our position, where we stand. We cannot be selfish to say that we're not going to send nobody because we don't know if or when we might require external assistance from our CARICOM brothers. And we won't want that if that time should come and we call upon them, they say to us, oh, when we needed you, are not there for us, why must we be there for you? So we cannot be selfish about it. We have to be mindful that, you know, it might be Haiti today, it might be us another time. So I would support, as much as we're short, I would support officers going to Haiti.
Here's my perspective on this thing, right? If you look at the situation in Haiti, the biggest name is Barbecue. Barbecue is a former police officer who becomes a gang leader. Yeah. And he pretty much controls what happens or what doesn't happen in that respect. But beyond that, I'm thinking we as Belizeans are outsiders. It doesn't matter if you're from Belize, you could be from Kenya or any other country that's part of this mission. Don't necessarily understand the lay of the land in Haiti. So it's almost as if I feel like we're sending them blindly into a situation where the Haitians know exactly where in Port-au-Prince or where else in the country that they have their strongholds, and we're sending people there to what? That's my concern.
I wouldn't say so. How policing and military works is that we would normally have what is called a strategic briefing.
Okay.
The strategic briefing is going to prepare those officers who will be going to be able to respond to the demands or the needs on the grounds. That will also give them a briefing of the landscape.
Okay.
It will give them a briefing of the different rivaling groups and who control what, so that when they go into Haiti, they won't be blindsided by what is actually taking place. Now, again, it's not like the external forces will be going there to work on their own. They will be working in tandem with the Haitian military and police. So they'll be on the grounds to guide them to make sure that they're going after the right people. And I do believe that if external forces are to be sent to Haiti, it is going to contribute more towards the security of Haiti because, one, they're not going to be compromised. I think one of the major issues that they're having in Haiti is that the security forces is compromised. How you can find one barbecue? Put people on grill and barbecue here, right? But once the external forces know who barbecue is, believe you me, they're going to find him very, very quickly. And he'll be able to be brought to justice, right? So that should be the issue. We have to find out, they will have to find a way to make sure that they get those officers who are not compromised in Haiti to work with the external forces to be able to go after the different groups who are creating havoc in Haiti.
Back to the home front now. Back to Belize City.
We just traveled back to Belize.
So the department has done a commendable job of being able to keep the peace relatively in Belize City with all of these groups that have proven to be problematic over the years. What's the strategy going forward? Because when we look at 2023 and the fact that the police department went above and beyond to try to keep things, you know, at a certain minimum, things are volatile when it comes to rival groups in Belize City. We've also seen that. What is the strategy in terms of trying your best to keep a lid on that?
Belize City is always on the edge. It is always a very volatile area. We always anticipate that there's going to be rivaling groups clashing. But what is important is how we respond or what we do to make sure that we don't reach that boiling point and things begin to spill off or spill over. And so we continue to work as best as we can with LIU. And I must say that LIU has been doing an exceedingly good job in making sure that whenever we have these little conflicts, that they step in and do mediation and quell those issues. I myself, I get a number of issues or concerns from these gang members, and I would refer it to LIU and tell them, do interventions. When we do have large-scale interventions, then myself and Brother Noor normally come in and do it. But Ms. O'Brien, Sadan Valdez, and Mr. Dawson, Fotigongara, Sticks, they are doing as much as they can to make sure that they keep in touch with the different groups on the grounds and try to quell whatever issues they may have before it escalates. And that has been working, as well as the other social partners who are working with LIU. And again, the chair lady, Dominique Norales, is doing a good job at coordinating the efforts of the different organizations to make sure that the objectives of LIU is achieved. And so we're seeing how that is working. Then the LIU work is complemented by the police presence in the respective areas across the city to make sure that we enforce, we make sure that law and order prevails. So, still doing the house searches, still doing the checkpoints, still doing the stop and searches, still focusing on vehicles that are owned and operated by gang members, just to let them know, you know, we still have our eyes on you, right? So it's not because you are a part of LIU, it means that you are now given immunity, right? The police will still come at you to make sure that you're doing what needs to be done. So the two complement each other, and that's the reason why we are where we are today.
Commissioner, I'll give you this final opportunity to speak about citizen security as it relates to the Belize Police Department on Election Day.
Again, it is important to us to make sure that we have a free and safe election come Wednesday. Belizeans typically have always maintained that they would come out, cast their vote, go home, and wait for the results. In some cases, you go back to work. And when work done, you go home and wait for the results. There are going to be some fanatics of the different political parties who, when the polls close at 6, they're going to come out and hit the streets and preempt what the result is going to be and begin to celebrate. We can't stop that from happening. But what we will do is to make sure that there is no consumption of alcohol on election day. Again, we know what alcohol can do, and we don't want people to be intoxicated and try to create problems around the polling stations or the counting stations. So that is going to be strictly enforced. Again, we ask the Belizean people to please work with us, and we ask the politicians to work with the police, because sometimes the police would get threats from politicians, right? Oh, if you don't do this, then you're going to see what is going to happen to you. If it is that we want the elections to be free and fair, then we must allow law enforcement to do the work that they must do to ensure that the security of the people is paramount. I certainly anticipate that this year is going to be no different than previous years. I can assure the Belizean people that the police will be out there in full force to make sure that every person who comes to cast a vote can do so in a very peaceful environment. So again, do not hesitate, do not be afraid to come out and cast your vote. And again, we live in a democratic nation. I've heard many people saying that they're not going to vote. If you don't vote, then you don't have a voice. Right? The only way you can have a voice and make a difference is by making sure that you cast your vote. I was listening to Love FM this morning when I was coming, and I heard a caller called in the talk show and said that he has been applying for a land title from Ministry of Natural Resources for the past 6 months. And because he has not been given his title, he's not going to vote. What does a land title have to do with your vote? Right? So these are things that Belizeans need to understand. You don't tie something to your vote. Right? Your vote should be based on who you believe can do what's best for your community. Right? And not who can give you what. So again, I encourage Belizeans to please come out and let your voices be heard through your vote on election day.
Participate in a democratic process.
Well, Commissioner, thank you so much for taking the time out of your extra busy schedule this week to stop by and share some words with our viewers.
Hey, bring me on a Monday.
Yes, I know, on a Monday. It's the best way. You have to start all of our weeks right, yeah? But thank you so much, and all the best. We hope that this entire week runs smoothly.
Thank you very much, and thanks likewise to your viewers and listeners. I want to say thanks to all the police officers who are out there who are doing their best to make sure that Belizeans are safe.
Absolutely.
You know, I know it's a very tough job that we have, but we have to do it, and so I say thank you to them.
All right, well, we take another quick break, and when we come back, the conversation on elections continues, but this time we'll be speaking with the correspondents. Find out more when we come back.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
From now on, when you visit Uno, you will experience an A+ power in all fuels. Dynamax Plus, the formula with the ultimate technology in additives, provides an A+ power and A+ performance. Dynamax Plus, A+ power and A+ performance to reach further with less fuel consumption. Dynamax Plus, available in all fuels. Uno, a different energy.
Weapons and ammunition must never ever be together.
Before I take that drink, I need to put the firearm away.
With the back again. With the win again. With the back again. Team Mariano. Let the change continue. And I know all of the seats for myself. How, Mr. Man, the beautified and trigger. We have to keep who the work to it. PUP7 down the line. When it comes to hard work and dedication, Mr. Morris always because he understands. And we can't forget the councillors. This team ready for the victory.
I'm David Humes, this is Vanessa Humes. We own Littleville Cool Spot. Belize Bank save us a lot of time. Working with them, we can keep track exactly what we spend. We recommend Belize Bank 100% because we don't have to go to stand up in line, and we can check on our account right from our house. Working with Belize Bank is the best.
With so many different styles of light bulbs, sometimes it's tricky to choose the right one. Whether it's a screw-in, candelabra base, or pins, we have what you need. From lamps to ceiling fans, floodlights or chandeliers, we have bulbs available in cool white, warm white, or daylight. All you have to do is choose. Once you have chosen your bulb, the final choice is technology. LED technology is energy efficient, long-lasting, produces a high-quality light, and saves you money. Choose wisely and let Benny's be your one-stop for lights. Benny's, quality and saving.
The Municipal Elections 2024 are just around the corner, and Channel 5 has you covered. The results of this decisive event will determine the direction taken by 7 towns and 2 cities over the course of the next 3 years. Join us for nationwide election coverage with impartial and insightful commentary and up-to-date statistics. With correspondents in every municipality, get a first-hand look at the pulse of the nation as the elections unfold. And while they can have their say,
This is my projection. 9 municipalities, and it is not far-fetched.
We are going to go blue down the line.
the voters will have their way. Tune in to Channel 5 at 6 a.m. on Wednesday, March 6th, and stay with us until the winners are confirmed. Stay up to date with our pre-election coverage on News 5, Open Your Eyes, and on our social media pages. Meet the candidates, follow them on the campaign trail, and have your say on the elections through our social media polls, because your voice matters. Don't miss the excitement and drama of the Municipal Elections 2024. Tune in to Channel 5 and join us for unrivaled coverage that puts you in the heart of the action.
Welcome back. We are having our second conversation for the morning, and as we mentioned, we will be continuing the conversation on the municipal elections set to take place on March 6th. This time around, though, we have some familiar face with us on the couch. And as we've been mentioning, we'll be talking to our correspondents that you will be seeing on March 6th. They will be placed all over the country in the different municipalities. So just to give you a brief introduction of who we have here with us, we have no stranger to us, Paul Lopez. He will be the Belmopan correspondent, bringing you the sights and sounds and what's taking place in Belmopan.
Good morning.
And to his right is Marian Ali, and she is the San Pedro correspondent, also bringing you the sights and sounds, everything elections. Marian will be bringing from San Pedro. We also have with us via Zoom Dr. Gwen Nunez Gonzalez. She is the Dangriga correspondent, and we'll also be having with us via Zoom Jose Sanchez, and he is our Cayo correspondent. Guys, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You're here bright and early. Paul, you've been here earlier, but also thank you so much for stopping by.
Let me jump in quickly. You forgot to introduce the Belize City correspondent.
Oh, I forgot.
He's a co-host this morning.
That was on purpose, but also not on purpose. Yes, of course, Isani hosting with me this morning. He will also be switching hats and taking on the role of correspondent for Belize City, bringing the sights and sounds of relatively one of the biggest municipalities.
The biggest.
You'll be quite busy on that day. I think you
Heavy is the head.
You need an
And
assistant.
hottest too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's going to be, your assistant, I believe, on that day will be Terry Gordon as well. So it's going to be quite an interesting day. But yes, I forgot you, not on purpose, really. But yes, we do have with us some of our most experienced media professionals here with us, and they will be correspondents on Election Day, March 6th. Guys, again, I want to say a very special welcome to the Oye set. Paul, for you, you know you're usually a host, but this morning you'll be speaking to us about your role as a media professional come March 6th, Election Day. Before we even get into what we will be expecting on March 6th, Isani alluded to it this morning. He spoke about the coverage that we've been providing both on the morning show but also on the news scene, where we've been meeting the candidates for the elections set to take place, but we've also been speaking with the people on the ground and hearing their concerns of what they believe they need in their municipality, and also giving credit where credit is due, talking about some of the achievements and things that they found to be done and of course beneficial to the community. I wanna get each one of your takes on the coverage that you've provided on the news scene. We can begin with you, Paul, since you provided coverage in Belmopan. You spoke to the mayoral candidates, also councillor candidates, and also you covered some of the concerns the people have in Belmopan. Let's take it over to you.
Meet the Candidates series in our weekly newscast has done great for us as reporters, because it has given us an opportunity to look deeper into the issues that are affecting these communities and some of the goals that the ruling parties may have hit and some that they may have missed, as well as some of the concerns that the opposition, in this case the majority being the United Democratic Party, that they are raising, and some of their vision and some of their plans. I did coverage in Belmopan. I also did coverage in Orange Walk.
Right.
And I did some coverage in Belize City. That will be aired throughout tonight.
And tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow night. But as I said, it provided us with greater insights. And I love that fact. I think we don't often get to hear enough from residents,
stands out in the upcoming
and
municipal
we
elections
often don't get to hear enough from about the concerns ahead of the elections. We usually focus on these type of things on election day, but I think an informed public goes to the polls and makes decision based on the information that they would have received. And a lot of these concerns that are raised throughout these municipalities, even if it's by a small group of individuals, a lot of other residents could relate and it's like them just echoing a lot of times
Yeah.
what residents are saying across the
So
board.
then, what were the similarities that you would say as it relates to concerns? Because you mentioned that you did coverage in 3 different municipalities: Belmopan, Orange Walk, Belize City. Those were the 3, right?
I'll tell you, this may not come as a surprise, and it may not have been covered any at all, but one of the similarities I found is that for the most part, people did not want to raise their concerns publicly. People were trying to...
For fear of victimization.
For fear of victimization. People wanted to stay away from the camera or the
Right.
light. They actually preferred sharing their concerns
Off camera.
off camera, off record. So I approached a lot of people, and this was my experience. I'm not sure how different Myron's experience was. Off camera, people had lengthy conversations with me, and I had to stop some at some point and be like, all right, I need something on record, so thanks for sharing your concerns, but I have to find somebody
Right.
that was willing to be interviewed.
I think when I look at the landscape as it stands, I think I have a significant job on Wednesday. You do, Paul, and Jose. I'm saying that if I'm looking at the municipalities here, Belize City is a hotly contested one, so is Belmopan, and so is San Ignacio Santa Elena, right? And I'm looking at the fact that, and this takes nothing away from the other municipalities, it's simply to say that when you look at the nature of politics and the dominance of parties in these respective municipalities, we have our work cut out for us, right? If I look at, for instance, San Ignacio Santa Elena, where as it stands, you had a recently dissolved mixed council, right? And the former mayor and his former councillor are going head to head on elections day.
Right.
And you look at the fact that over the course of the weekend, the UDP were up in arms because they're vandalizing all their signs and what have you in that municipality. So Jose will have a lot on his plate come Wednesday, right? If you look at Belmopan, for instance, where you have Jacqueline Burns, but she's backed by John Saldivar, who some would argue is a polarizing figure in politics in that constituency. You look at Oscar Mira and his slate, you also have your work cut out for you, right? And I'm almost certain that Marianne does as well in San Pedro, where you have perhaps a vast majority of people saying they're ready for a certain change, and you have, on the other hand, a vast majority saying we want to keep the status quo as it is.
Yeah.
What I want to do at this point is get Marianne in on the conversation in terms of having covered San Pedro before for general elections and perhaps in a previous instance, the municipal elections as well.
Thanks, Isani. And good morning, everybody. If I could, before I answer your question, just follow up on what Paul was saying, because I did do pre-election coverage in San Ignacio, Santa Elena, and for the most part, I didn't find people were camera shy or any of that, or felt any sort of threat via victimization or any of that. They spoke to me, and interestingly, the 3 municipalities that I covered, which was Belize City on Saturday, San Ignacio, Santa Elena, and Dangriga before that, the 3 commonalities, the 3 things they had in common was that even though there has been a lot of infrastructural development in their municipalities, there is still a big need, there's still a huge need for more infrastructural work.
Right.
Drainage came up, more streets or resurfacing of streets or building of more streets as the areas expand. So that
Those
was
were
what
the
I found, on the ground.
Similar, yes.
To turn to your question, Isani, in terms of San Pedro, prior to Mayor or former Mayor Wally Nunes' first term that he has served the last 3 years, prior to that, it had been an 18-year reign by the UDP. And so the switch was made only 3 years ago. Whether or not the people will want another switch so quickly, we will find out on Wednesday. Their needs as far as they're concerned, because I was visiting the island before then, and then my last visit was when the council introduced it was a pre-election launch of or a report on what their finances were.
Look like, yes.
And so what they were reporting was that what they found in office when they took office in 3 years ago, and the accomplishments that they've been able to make since then. So in terms of what the residents were asking for, same thing, infrastructure, they just wanted their streets to be paved, you know, because most of San Pedro is sandy because of the rain there, so they wanted.
And just to add to that, I think what is unique about San Pedro that is obviously different from the other municipalities is their issue with traffic. And of course, these over surplus of golf carts and vehicles, they have different concerns. While there are some similarities, there are some key things that they're looking for that's different. But I want to take the conversation over to Dr. Gwen Gonzalez, Nunez Gonzalez. She, as we mentioned, is our Dangriga correspondent, and she is joining us via Zoom. Dr. Gwen, can you talk to us about what you heard and saw in Dangriga?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, for the municipal nomination day. Sorry about that.
No problem.
For nomination day, I was able to see a lot of respect. I must point that out because over the years, I have seen where both sides of the campaign team go at each other. But for nomination day, the People's United Party, they did their thing in the morning, the afternoon, UDP, and there were other people from both sides standing on the side watching the other party parade, and no kind of disrespect, no kind of anything, but it was just celebrating. Now, the feedback after, in the afternoon, some people were saying, well, UDP had more people supporting them, taking them to nomination, and they had very long motorcade than the morning, and then some said, then in terms of the sentiment, people are saying it's going to be a mixed council, because on both sides you have good members who have tried to do their part in the community. Some people said they think that it will be down the line, blues, depends on who you speak to. Some said, well, down the line, red. But a lot of people I'm talking to who have spoken to me have said that they believe it will be a mixed council.
Right.
In terms of the mayor, they were not able to decipher. They said, well, we are sick.
So now,
that's one thing I've learned covering elections on that it is won on that day. I have seen over the years where you go. I like to travel, visit the rally before, right? The meeting before, and I remember a year, man, we say PUP got this because that place was ram jam. But then I looked at those who were at that gathering, and I told my friend, I said, no. I said, you know what? Most of those are youngsters. They can't vote it. Most of those are our students.
The shirt doesn't vote.
Yes, the shirt no votes, right? And I said, so I don't think so. So I've learned to observe who is there and the age range. I said, maybe down the road, if they stick to their party, then what now? And so said UDP.
That's quite an interesting point. Isani, you can go ahead.
I have a question for you, Gwen. as a resident of Dangriga. So, in much the same way, we here in Belize City and perhaps others in the various municipalities are seeing all of this infrastructure work taking place at the 11th hour, right? And perhaps people are feeling, okay, well, the government or the party in power is doing all of this to ensure a vote in its favor on March 6th. What do you feel is the sentiment of residents of Dangriga seeing all the work that's taking place there?
Okay. In terms of the roadworks, the mayor, you have to give him what is due. From the time he got into office, he tackled the streets. But we have so many streets, right? The main ones, he was able to garner support to fix and pave and so. Then the back streets, those are the ones that people have been complaining about.
Yeah.
But they have been trying, like we said, right before election, to make sure they bulldoze and dump. But no, for Dangriga, in all fairness, I cannot say, oh, they're doing that just because that towards election, because they've been doing it. You understand? So just that there are many streets. And some people are also complaining about street signs.
Yeah.
The naming names of the streets. But we are the problem.
Yeah.
Because there's some signs that were there. We are the ones who destroyed the street names. But that's another concern that people are talking about. Another concern is that they see more of the mayor than the councillors themselves on the ground and reaching out. They see the councillors who are in, but they didn't see many of them.
I wanna get Mr. Sanchez into the conversation because, as Isani mentioned, one of the municipalities that we have a close eye on is San Ignacio and Santa Elena, particularly because of that mixed slate dynamic there. Of course, you would know that we did have both mayoral candidates with us here on set last month, speaking about the challenges and the successes that took place in their term. So we want to get some feedback from you, Jose, and talking about what you heard and what you saw when you were capturing the sights and sounds there.
Well, first of all, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I would like to say that I think that having a mixed council has actually been beneficial for San Ignacio and Santa Elena, specifically because, as you were mentioning, how you see all of these works going about streets. But in that municipality, every day is like that for them simply because the PUP and UDP are trying to prove that they are the specific party that they need that want to win. And of course, coming closer to election, you see each party doing their own thing. For example, the boardwalk, I'm sure that was recently announced. The UDP mayor was not a part of that. He was not included in that. So that was something to prop up the PUP candidate. And specifically, he is a part of that council now. So that kind of shows you the division that has been going. That's probably the most hottest and contested municipality, in my opinion. And the last time I was there for municipal elections, the counting that went throughout the night, specifically because, like Mr. Trump won, and that's not something, of course, he wanted. So I was there throughout that whole night, bringing it in when he won. And there were a lot of hurt feelings there. And I think they tried to, they were still trying to find ways to get rid of him. But it has worked to an extent. But of course, as Isani pointed out, that coming up to the end, you see people defacing murals, for example, and putting the mayor's name on it. And I don't think he's going to deface a mural and then put his own name on it.
Right.
But it just goes to show you the level of aggression that there is.
Yeah.
During the last election, for example, there was like a huge argument. I'll tell you, the most excitement is going to be in Santa Elena, in front of that primary school. That's where all the action is. Arguments are expected, but the biggest argument they had last year was because somebody measured the space from the gate at the entrance.
Yeah.
And one of the parties had 6 inches closer to the gate, and that created a whole big debate and argument. But that's where everybody tried to prove their value and make their money. In Benke, for example, it's not as tense, but people are out there because they know it's a day that they can earn. I remember I made the mistake that time in Benke when I was looking for an interview, and I said, "Oh, but look for the people in that house up the street around the corner." Not knowing I'm walking with the microphone, not knowing I'm walking into the money house, and everybody got collect after their vote, and everybody looked frightened when they see me, right? But it is an exciting day to see that go down. But definitely. So what becomes then of this UP mayoral candidate if he doesn't win, for example? Will they give him a seat on the council simply because maybe he garners more votes? These are things to look at to see how they're going to divide it. But I think most people are projecting to see another mixed council for San Ignacio, Santa Elena, and it's a bit, to me, I know people have their favorites for Benke area, but we're in a post-COVID world now, and one of the reasons why the election results were the way they were the last time around is that many people couldn't cross the border. Remember, we have a lot of resident aliens.
That's a very interesting point. Go ahead.
And they couldn't come across the vote, and that seriously affected the outcome during COVID. So expect that a lot of buses are going to be coming across from Melchor for these resident aliens as well. So definitely we're going to see the dynamics is going to be interesting because and the parties will watch it because that will also affect them for our general elections as well. But the team and I think Mr. Tabra and I will be having a great time running back and forth between San Ignacio, Santa Elena, and Benke. So that whole stretch of road will be our where we'll be. And we look forward to bringing it to you once again as before. That has been the playground for the past few elections for me.
Yeah. All right, well, I guess I could speak on Belize City briefly.
Yeah, you can talk to us.
Well, Paul and I, and Marianne, of course, because the three of us have tackled a political party over the course of the past week or so in respect of our Meet the Candidates series, right? But as I mentioned earlier, I've been working with the People's Democratic Movement in terms of looking at what they're doing on the ground. And so yesterday, we were in the Penn Road, Crawl Road area, Lake Independence, right? And what is interesting is the fact that I look at the composition of certain slates as what I would describe as like a motley crew, right? You have people from different backgrounds, people with different objectives or what have you, but you all have them on one team. And so it's dynamic in that regard, right? So when I look at PDM yesterday, they're all grassroots people, but their individual stories are interesting as to what brought them to electoral politics, right? The youngest person is 21 years old on their slate. It may not be the youngest person ever in electoral politics at that level, I'm not sure, but I'm simply saying for PDM, this one young lady stands out because in her mind, her mission at this point is to make a difference in her community as a young person. And you don't normally get that when you're looking at electoral politics in the round, right? You find that mostly middle-aged people are going on to being older folks are the ones who are offering themselves. And so I look at that and I look at how she's able to interact with other people around her in that particular space. And I'm thinking that perhaps it's a good thing for younger people to get in on governance. I'm looking at beyond just the party politics aspect of it, but to get involved in how your city or your town or your country is governed and being a part of that. I think when you look at our population and a vast majority of us are younger people, it goes to say that we need more younger people in office, right? That's just my observation. I'm not sure where you stand on that, Marianne, in terms of...
I do want to ask a question, though, Isani, because I love that you mentioned that from your perspective, you welcome young blood. But a lot of times, it's looked upon as a weakness when a young person joins politics because they're, for instance, voters, they're looking for more seasoned individuals that know that know how this game work, right?
That's arguable, though.
It is,
arguable,
but I've
yes.
heard that as well, where, you know, younger people were looked upon as like, what this young person could do for me, you know? So are you guys hearing different views?
I'm seeing across municipalities that these political parties are making an intentional effort to include at least one or two young candidates. And I would hope that it's not just for image, but that it's actually to have these individuals make an impact and to represent, truly represent the needs of the young persons within their communities. When you look at Belize City, you see young candidates. You look at Belmopan, you see young candidates. Those are the two municipalities, the slates I'm familiar with. Oh, Orange Walk as well. You have a few, in fact, the People's United Party's slate, a few of the candidates I've spoken with, most in fact, are young. And are youth advocates as well. So there is that dynamic now more than ever before that I'm seeing with young people.
But there's a reason for that, though. Go back to what I was saying earlier, right? If you look at the population as it stands, a majority of who we are younger people, right? And so
Sabrina and I
I love that you mentioned that, because
you need representation at that level.
I love that you mentioned that, Isani, because I mean, I come from a background prior to media of youth development, and that was a conversation that we constantly had. Young people, we're a majority of the population, we're 70% of the population, but we constantly had a struggle to have that be relevant enough to give us our space, give us our respect, to have a seat at the table, to have a voice. And that's why that question was posed. Are these young representatives just seat fillers, or are they intentionally placed there to bring voices, to have the young people's voices heard?
Well, to answer your question and then to go back on what you all have been saying, no, they're not just seat fillers, quote unquote. Patrick Faber, who is the area rep for my constituency, where I live in Collet, he was first elected when he was 24, and that's to central government. Cordell Hyde, he was elected when I think he was 26 or 28. We had way back in the 90s when Marissa Alamia, I think she was Kwan then, she ran for I think it's neighbor, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. But she was in her early 20s, maybe 21.
Right.
Then there was Adelma Broster, who ran for neighbor under Philip Golson, the late Philip Golson. And she was also, I think, in the very early 20s. So maybe now there's more a push to include younger folks into the fray. But I'd like to say that there's been an effort from, 20, 30 years ago to include more young people. And what I really like is that now we have the children parliamentarians and that whole
I love that you mentioned
effort. So it includes more of our younger folks.
Well, I mean, we don't have too much time left to really dive in on this conversation, but I just want to let our viewers know that the conversations that we're having right now, it's going to be very similar come March 6th on Wednesday. We will be having extensive discussions on what's taking place in the different municipalities. Just because we weren't able to get too much from our correspondents via Zoom, I'm going to give Dr. Gwen and Jose one more opportunity to just share what they can expect, what our viewers can expect from you guys come March 6th. We can begin with you, Jose.
Okay. Well, definitely, I think we forgot to mention that if there are any third-party candidates, we always strive to give them some airtime as well.
Right.
But definitely, we're trying to speak to the politicians, to the people on the ground who are there just to get a vibe of what it is that they are feeling for that day. We want to bring you the atmosphere so you can feel what it is that the people are feeling out there within San Ignacio, Santa Elena, and Benque. And definitely, we want to hear from throughout the night. We want to bring you the statistics, let you know. I'm not so excited about the box counts, but I know people love to know, what box are being counted, how many they are. So we'll try to be as close as we can to bring you that information, and of course, the best coverage that there will be for elections.
Dr. Gwen?
Okay, well, for that day, I really want to see in terms of feedback about women, because I
Yeah.
thought we were going to talk about women
That's
on the
true.
slate.
We missed that.
So I know in terms of trying to bring the youth, there are a lot of youth on both ends. So young people here, and they're offering themselves. So people are looking at their involvement. There are one or two that they said, I don't know them, right?
Mhm.
But that they say, well, I see them around, they're working, they're involved. So hence the reason why people are of the opinion that it will be a mixed council. But on the ground on that day, we'll be visiting all the polling areas and trying to give clarity. Some people are still confused between Delil and Holy Ghost because for us in this area, we used to go, all of us go to Holy Ghost. But now that from last election, that divided, but there's some people still don't understand because they've been asking me. And so, but we'll be on the ground sharing and finding out how people feel about, especially our female. There are 3 females running up, 2 on the United Democratic slate and 1 for the People's United Party. So we want, I really want to see how that pans out. So we'll have unbiased reports.
Yes.
Because I've learned that as a reporter, I don't have a side. I work on all the sides, the 12, 15 million sides that will be available, and then so we'll be able to do that. So that's our plan for beautiful Dangriga coverage for Channel 5's Municipal Election 2024.
I just want to end on my end here by informing our viewers that we do have correspondents across the country for the municipal elections come Wednesday. All 9 municipalities, we will have persons on the ground. And of course, if you've been following what we've been doing since the end of January, early February, thereabout, we have been visiting all of these particular towns and cities and providing the kind of on-the-ground coverage that builds up to or leads up to March 6th, so that when you go to the polls, as voters, you would have an idea of who you're voting for and why you're voting, right? And I also want to take the opportunity to thank all of the correspondents who have signed on to our coverage for this year. So far, we've done an exceptional job, and I want for us to keep it that way so that on Wednesday, our viewers watch Channel 5 for the latest information.
By way of a tad bit of useful information to our viewers, if you want to know beforehand what your polling station is or where it will be, you can actually go to the Elections and Boundaries website, very, very useful website, and you find the option for a voters list. And all you have to do is type in your first name, your last name, and your date of birth. And when you click search, right there, the information will come up as your voter information and your exact polling station.
Nice.
Now, that's useful because, like for Belmopan, for example, there'll be 3 polling stations. Customarily, it used to be 1, the Belmopan Comprehensive School, but now it's 3. In Belize City, there's 86 polling stations. 86. And so you don't want to find yourself going to 10 polling stations just to hear, oh, this is another one, this is another one. So go online at Elections and Boundaries website, and you could get that information. I've tried it and it worked really well
when
for
you
me.
said 86, thanks for reminding me
I
how
know.
much work Terry and I will have on Wednesday.
86.
But I want to add one final thing here, and I feel as if though I'm doing sort of an injustice by not bringing it up earlier. Our social media presence, right? So we have Hipólito Novello, who has been doing an exceptional job in terms of the surveys online, in terms of the interviews he's had with the various correspondents, the various candidates as well, and so on. So for persons who are on the go and may not necessarily be in front of their television sets come Wednesday, you can catch the latest information as well on our social media platforms. All right, so I just wanted to plug that in there as well.
Yes. Marianne, you have any last plug?
Well, it's more of a funny one. I always get a kick out of, even though before you start your interviews with these politicians, these candidates, you tell them, you know, we don't tolerate any kind of campaigning on election day. And it always gives me a kick when I get a joke when, you know, at the end of their message or their interview, they will always go do the right thing or, I don't know, all line down the line or whatever. They do it in such a way that, you know. So we'll see how that goes on Wednesday. We always try to tell them, but they
still find a way. As long as it gives you a kick and you don't give them a kick, right?
I do want to remind our viewers, though, that we have our final mayoral candidate sit down tomorrow, and that will be with the Belize City mayoral candidate. So it's going to be quite an interesting one for those persons who've been following the coverage that we've been providing both on the news and the morning show. We have the last municipality, which is Belize City. So stay tuned. But we got to take another quick break, and when we come back, the conversation switches to Women's Month. When we come back, we'll be talking about the start of Women's Month. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
So the doctor has given me 5 days off. How do I get paid from Social Security? This is how Social Security works for sickness benefits. First, you must check that you qualify. You must be employed when you got sick. Have made 50 paid contributions. Have made 5 paid contributions within 13 weeks immediately before getting sick. To ensure that your processing goes smoothly, be sure to complete and submit your claim form within 14 days of the first day of illness. Thanks, I get it now.
Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Everything is better electric. Be more efficient with electric vehicles and transforming your home with Energy Star electric appliances and power tools. This helps to create a greener and cleaner world for the next generation. Energize your world with BL.
This spot is dedicated to the parents who haven't slept for 5 nights. Inhale and exhale. Because in between chaos and peace, there is Nutribomb Infant Cereal, enriched with all the nutrients your baby needs for healthy growth, making your baby's first food of choice a moment of happiness for him and calmness for you. Nutribomb Infant Cereal, moments that nourish. Find all 6 flavors at the best price in a supermarket near you.
Hi, my name is Lincoln Fowers and I work at Municipal. 100% I will recommend Belize Bank mobile banking to everyone because it saves time, money and gas price because gas price is high right now. Belize Bank mobile banking just make life easier.
I'm connected. Yo.
I'm connected.
We're connected.
Create the perfect broadband bundle that fits your style with Smart Connect. With the Junior Bundle, get 50% off your national calls and up to 6 gigabytes of data at no extra cost. Get postpaid added for an additional cost of only $25 with the Prime Bundle. Stay connected with unlimited smart-to-smart calls plus 6,300 megabytes of data and free international minutes. For the family, pay $28.13 more and get the Binge Watchers bundle with Netflix. This bundle gives you 4 profiles with unlimited streaming on multiple devices. Visit a showroom near you to sign up and personalize your own bundle combination with Smart Connect. Smart, bringing people together.
The municipal elections 2024 are just around the corner, and Channel 5 has you covered. The results of this decisive event will determine the direction taken by 7 towns and 2 cities over the course of the next 3 years. Join us for nationwide election coverage with impartial and insightful commentary and up-to-date statistics. With correspondents in every municipality, get a first-hand look at the pulse of the nation as the elections unfold. And while they can have their say,
This is my projection. Nine municipalities, and it is not far-fetched.
We are going to go blue, blue, blue down the line.
the voters will have their way. Tune in to Channel 5 at 6 a.m. on Wednesday, March 6th, and stay with us until the winners are confirmed. Stay up to date with our pre-election coverage on News 5, Open Your Eyes, and on our social media pages. Meet the candidates, follow them on the campaign trail, and have your say on the elections through our social media polls, because your voice matters. Don't miss the excitement and drama of the Municipal Elections 2024. Tune in to Channel 5 and join us for unrivaled coverage that puts you in the heart of the action.
Welcome back. We are having our third and final conversation for this morning, and as we mentioned, the month of March is going to be quite a busy one. But aside from the elections that we're all following, it's also Women's Month, so we have to give credit where credit is due. We will be celebrating our women this month as well. And we have some ladies here with us to talk to us about some of the activities that we can expect this month. Here with us is Dr. Maxine McKay, and she is a UB assistant, a professor, and also a member of the Special Olympics and CIWIL. And we also have here Miss Eleanor Murillo, and she is the program officer for the NWC. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome. Happy Women's Month.
Thank you. Same to you. Same to you.
Is that why I opened Isani? Because it's Women's Month? Yeah? All right. Fitting.
Very smart.
Well, let's talk about it. I know that last year was quite an eventful month where we celebrated and we had extensive conversations about the contribution of women and why we should progress into having women take on different roles. Let's talk about some of the differences or some of the things that took place last year that will be continuing this year.
Yeah. Well, definitely the educational component. We still have to try to empower our communities, women from all over the country. We cannot take it for granted that people know, especially as it relates to services and the laws and so on. So definitely the education, the information is a big component of Women's Month. While it's very celebratory, we also know that we still have a lot of issues as it relates to women and girls, and so that also is another component. Looking at how can we improve on some of the systems in place, the services and so on, and of course changes in laws is also important. So it have different components. We have the fundraising part of Women's Month as well, where different organizations use it as an opportunity to raise funds to continue, like the shelters, to continue run their shelters and so on. So it's celebratory, but it's also a time for us to educate, big up our women, support women, because we know that right now we are going through a lot, in this country. So,
do we have a theme that we're writing on this year? Is it a change in the theme from last year? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. We are unique. We celebrate a whole month. Everybody else in the world celebrate one day, which is March 8th, International Women's Day. Our theme this year is Inspire Inclusion, Countering. And so we're saying that we need to be everybody, not only women, but men also need to be inspirations for the next generation. So we need to inspire inclusion and to include everybody. We cannot continue to discriminate and label people all over the place, and then we are not including them in the conversation. So Inspire Inclusion Countering is our team for this year.
You said something interesting, Ms. Maria. You said that everyone else is celebrating on one day, but we chose an entire month. Now, I'm not going to disagree and fight it, because I get to be celebrated for an entire month. But why did we decide to do that?
Because it's not a one organization thing, right? We have all these organizations, government, NGOs, civil society come together. And so we thought for us to really do meaningful activities, a month will be good. So they started out with a week. And then they realized, oh my, a week is short. So now we have a full month. So it gives all the different stakeholders an opportunity to have meaningful activities, impactful activities for women and girls and men and boys, because we also have like training programs, forums where we include everybody.
Here's a question for you ladies, right? And forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe that we're still very much in a patriarchal society, right? Do you believe that women are celebrated enough, acknowledged enough, and perhaps given the same respect that men have in our present day society?
Well, personally, I think that's a very, very good question. And even though we have all of these organizations, a whole month, I do not believe that women are celebrated and respected enough. And it just doesn't start, I don't think a month, should be set aside just for women. I think every single day a woman and a man and a girl and a boy should be celebrated. So I think even though we have these laws and we have all of these celebrated things, that we're not celebrated enough and we're not respected enough, because we still struggle with gender gaps when it comes to salary, political positions. We might be in leadership, but we're still not really leading. In healthcare, women don't have a decision sometimes in terms of reproductive health care, reproductive justice. So gender-based violence is still very prevalent among women. And even though regionally, women are setting more trends in terms of educational access, and here in Belize, we know that more women are attaining education, but globally, women still lag behind. So to just validate my response is that no, and I think it starts with self.
Right.
And I think we as women, we have to raise our girls from very early, to value themselves, because when we decide if we want to perm hair, cut hair, go natural, wear makeup, add eyelashes, etc., that shows a lot about our own identity and how society will view us. And how we view ourselves is how society will view us. And I also had a discussion with Ms. Murray that we have to teach our boys how to be boys and how to become proper men, to respect women. Because we can't just be telling the girls, you have to respect yourselves, but we have to teach our sons, our brothers, how to respect themselves and how to respect women. And then I believe there's going to be a change gradually, but we're still struggling as women in our society.
You said something really, really important. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because just moments ago, we came from a segment where we were talking about elections and politics and seeing, of course, faces of women now, which was not very much common years before. Now that we are celebrating women this month, I want us to touch really quickly on leadership, woman leadership. Do you believe that we are slowly making that progression to seeing the benefits or the role of women as leaders?
Well, I think we had a forum, like some fora, like for 2 weeks with women candidates, my master's students at UB and CWIL. And it was interesting, some of the topics we asked, because one of the questions was we asked them, do you believe that women do have a seat at the table or seats at the table? And we spoke about leadership. And so I asked myself, do we put more women just to say we're balancing the gender agenda? Or do we really put them because we want them there? So I asked the ladies who participated, do you believe you have a voice at the table, or you're just there sitting?
And seat fillers, we were talking about that.
And so I mean, it's still questionable if we're really there to be there, or we just want to say, oh, we're talking about this gender agenda, more women at the seat or at the table, but they're not really, they're in leadership roles, but as I said earlier, are they really leading? Because I question the existence of I think it's 28 women either 28 or something like that, but the highest ever for the political office that they're campaigning for municipalities.
23.
23, right? That is the highest ever, right? And then 3 mayoral candidates. But I would hope that we have that balance with women, and women do go out and vote for women. But it was going to be, to me, an interesting turn of events if the women are selected.
Yeah.
But in terms of leadership, we have a lot of women who are in CEO positions. We have a lot of first time, you know, but I'm questioning if they're really there to lead, or if there's someone behind them leading them, you know, and they're just that image that I want a woman CEO just to
The
meet
poster.
an agenda. Yeah, a poster.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are more posters still than anything else. And it's sad because we should actually, if you ask us to lead, let us lead. Right, and women should help us lead. We shouldn't be tearing down each other, and I think that's one of our detriments.
Yeah,
I think that's arguably the biggest detriment.
Exactly. And
if I could say this from a male's perspective, right?
You're
right. We know it's true.
We know.
I'm an outsider here, and I'm watching and I'm listening, right?
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to men, we support each other easier.
Correct.
Yeah.
But when we look at women in certain spaces, they are their worst enemies. Right?
Right,
It's
you're
like women cloud on each
100%
other before they build.
They build.
But is that a result of the patriarchy as well? Because to add to that, women also support men. They would choose to support a man before they support a woman.
We will see.
Yeah,
we will see the numbers.
We're going to see.
No, it's true. And at the last Women in Politics forum we had some years ago, women as the main speaker, the same thing over and over. What is the issue? Why when women get in leadership positions, they behave worse than men who are leaders? Why do they treat other women so badly? And Kelly Dittmar, she was our main speaker. She's a political expert from America, and she said, because of patriarchy. And so when they hold these positions, they feel like they have to go with the good old boys club. And that's why they behave the way they do. So yes, so while women are in leadership position and we want to see more, it's an issue because when they get there, they forget self. Because a lot of time people, oh, but that person is such a wonderful and kind person. But that's not, when you get the position, that's not what we see. It's a total different ball game.
It's such an interesting conversation, and I don't want to take away from the activities that will be taking place when we really dive into politics and the placement of women. So let's talk a bit about some of the activities that we can expect this month.
Okay, well, yesterday we had an ecumenical service at the Bliss. Excellent turnouts, very, very impactful in terms of people who came from all over. Men and women filled the room, so it was not just a women's thing, which is very important because we want activities while it's Women Month to include the families. We have a breakdown of families. So yes, we want to empower women, but we also want to empower everybody, the rest of the family members, so that they can support women. Our biggest activity, of course, is the Outstanding Women's Award. And this year we will award about 12 women. We're using our Beijing platform for action critical areas, priority areas within our country. So like women in education, women in health, women in the media, you know, and women in human rights. So all these women who have done work, not just 8 to 5 work, but have done extraordinary work to help build their communities. So it's not just sending some meeting and say, I want Miss So-and-so to get an award, but they have to show what this person have done to build and uplift their community. And so we have a lot of educational forums focusing on gender-based violence, which continue to plague our society. I mean, in the news from January, it has been heart-wrenching. How many girls go missing, the domestic violence situation, rape of young ladies, rape of babies. And so these things continue to plague us, and what can we do to ensure that we do better? I know right now the government is working on improving some of the laws, like the anti-sexual harassment bill, and it focuses on workspaces and being respectful. And even as we go across the country, in one session with principals, a principal said, so what will I tell my sons? I said, tell your sons to respect women and girls. Keep his hands to himself and his eyes in. What do you mean, what do I tell my son? This law is for everybody. It does not say if you touch a woman. It says any person, any human being who. So it's for everybody. We're not saying only women and girls get sexual harassment. Men and boys can get sexual harassment as well.
Yeah.
And so we need to teach respect because we have lost it. We don't know what is respect anymore. You know? Yeah. And so the work continues. We are looking at the Families and Children's Act and how we can strengthen it. We look at the Domestic Violence Act and how we can strengthen it. So the law is also important in addition to the different programs and projects that we put into place.
Yes. All right. Well, do you have any last words?
Yeah. So to add to what Ms. Marie said, we're also having an event called Plant Her, which is for very, very early girls. We're going to actually have tree planting, and we're going to have them speak about this, the strength of roots, you know, to establish yourself very early in life. And then we're going to have celebrate her, like different fora to celebrate her. One specifically for mothers of children with disabilities, to how they deal with them in terms of mental health, their physical conditions, etc. And I want to end by saying that as we celebrate her, you know, during the month of March, I want to also encourage people to celebrate her for all the months in the year, and also celebrate him, because we can't just be celebrating her and not celebrating him.
Yeah.
Because if we have a boy and a girl running and the girl falls, we go and we hug her, we nurture her, then we tell her, "Why, get up, get up, get up." We also have to nurture our sons so that they can become good men.
Yeah.
Well said.
I agree. I think that's important. I want to also include that that note there, because a lot of times we think that women empowerment means that we are stomping down on the men. No, we're not. You know, we're not. We just want to all feel love and respected.
All right.
Yeah. Alrighty, we're gonna take our final break, and when we come back, we wrap things up. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
With so many different styles of light bulbs, sometimes it's tricky to choose the right one. Whether it's a screw-in, candelabra base, or pins, we have what you need. From lamps to ceiling fans, floodlights or chandeliers, we have bulbs available in cool white, warm white, or daylight. All you have to do is choose. Once you have chosen your bulb, the final choice is technology. LED technology is energy efficient, long-lasting, produces a high-quality light, and saves you money. Choose wisely and let Benny's be your one-stop for lights. Benny's, quality and saving.
At Brothers Habet and Habet, we are proud to celebrate Women's Month. This year's theme is Inspire Inclusion, and we want to inspire the creativity of our women breaking barriers in the industry. That's why, for the entire month of March, we are offering all women a special 15% discount on all products store-wide. Whether you're a professional, a DIY enthusiast, or just looking to tackle home improvement projects, we have everything you need to get the job done and service that's second to none. So stop in, call, inbox, email, or WhatsApp us today. Happy Women's Month from all of us at Brothers Habet and Habet.
Naked Shine and the UDP could say what they want, but people know better. The PUP they work from day one in every municipality, every community. They no play. Mobile clinic for deal with land issues, house for deserving Belizeans. Jobs like never before, and we mean real jobs. Roads to pave all over, bridge the bill, free education in a high school, free internet in 197 schools. Schools to get built, health centers get built. Listen, we never see this kind of work under the UDP, never ever. This the Belizean taxpayer dollars at work. This the how it's supposed to be. Under the UDP, only God and their worthless one know where the tax dollars gone, cause they certainly never help none of we. March 6th, make we get it right. In Corozal, Orange Walk, San Pedro, Belmopan, Dangriga, Punta Gorda, Benque Viejo, San Ignacio, Santa Elena, and for sure in a Belize City. We to stay on track, with the PUP.
This plan, I can't leave this plan. Smart Belize.
Hey there, smart thinkers! We're turbocharging your mobile experience with Smart's powered up postpaid plans. Imagine a world where your data speeds flows faster than ever. Well, guess what? We've cranked up the dial and unleashed the postpaid power of Smart's lightning fast LTE data on all our postpaid plans. That's right, no speed bumps, more data. It's like having a limitless highway of data speed at your fingertips. Whether you're a Lone Ranger with an individual plan or a squad rolling with a group plan, everyone gets to surf, stream, and share at enhanced full high-quality speed. Switch to Smart's powered up postpaid plans today and ride the wave of postpaid power. Visit any Smart showroom or smart-bz.com for details and make your mobile experience smarter and faster. Smart, bringing people together.
I know I can't leave this plan. I can't leave this plan.
Welcome back, and thanks for sticking with us. We had 3 great conversations, so I want to say thank you to all of our guests who stopped by this morning in person and via Zoom, but also thank you to our viewers for sticking with us. It is March the 4th, and we are slowly winding down, or I should say quickly winding down to the municipal elections. But if you are celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to you. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or even a birthday shout out, you can send us an email at oie@channel5belize.com. You can also catch us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, as well as Instagram at OYE Belize. Thank you so much for joining us, and please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow as you open your eyes
To start your morning right,
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
your heart's open.
have a wonderful Monday.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.